I'm Frost, and welcome to my regular update on all the things that are going on in the world of sci-fi gaming. Right, let's jump right in. So first up, releasing today, that's Friday, 2nd of October 2020, is Star Wars Squadrons. Now, Star Wars Squadrons is a little bit unusual in that it doesn't follow the typical EA Star Wars formula. Normally those games, Star Wars Battlefront, Jedi Fallen Order, etc., have been lore-based and very much story-based. This is very different. It is a mini-game in the sense that it only focuses on one aspect, which is the dogfighting of the starfighters. And this is a game that is going to be multiplayer. It's going to be 5v5 in squadrons, although you will have AI ships involved in the battle as well to add numbers. And the general idea behind it is that you will only have two scenarios. You'll have the dogfighting scenario, which is just you versus other starfighters, and then the fleet battles, where you have to take out a capital ship as part of the mission. Now, one of the things to say straight away is that unusually for an EA game, this has no microtransactions whatsoever. All of the goodies, the cosmetics and the upgrades are all done through gameplay, and that is a great thing to see. Now, what is interesting with this is obviously the mechanics, that we don't have proper zero-G physics. I would imagine I haven't played it yet, it's on order, I'll be playing it by the time this video is released, but I imagine we're going to get this typical starfighter scenario of aerodynamics in space with zero-G, so you're going to be banking in turns and all that kind of stuff. But all the same, it would remain very playable, and I'm very much looking forward to it. As this does look like a really good skirmish dogfighting game. And then, for example, it's always the kind of thing you're looking for in EVE Online, which you never really get. And yeah, so there we go. So Star Wars Squadron is out today, and it's out on consoles as well as PC. And it is cross-play as well, which is great, because that means there's going to be plenty of people playing it. Now we're going to move on to the other release of the month. Now it's not quite sci-fi, it is a little bit, and that is Watch Dogs Legion. Now this comes out at the end of the month, and I'm particularly hyped about this game because it's based in London, which is my hometown, and it just looks really interesting. They've kind of taken the RPG scenario and taken it to a different level where you can play all kinds of different NPCs, and you have to recruit all these NPCs into your militia, and it's set in the near dystopian future of London. So that's coming at the end of the month, so keep an eye out for that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to updates, and the big update, the big news is No Man's Sky. We now have the Origins update. Now No Man's Sky has been around now for 4 years, and every year they kind of do a major update. This is always a free update, and it is a big one, and they've very much listened to the requirements or the requests that have been put in by the gaming community. And one of the issues that I came across, which I think has been reflected in this, is that if you'd played the game for more than sort of 40 or 50 hours, even though it's procedurally generated, it kind of got a bit samey. And so they've gone in and they've created a whole bunch of new assets and added a whole new bunch of procedural elements. So you get new biomes, you also get new animals, new creatures, and all of these are procedurally generated. We've got weather events like lightning storms and fires. In regards to the new biomes, we now have huge mountain ranges, deep canyons. So the exploring is going to feel much more unique every time you go to a new planet. There's also going to be some new buildings that are going to be on a much bigger scale than anything before. And then one of the things that was in the original trailer of the game were sandworms, similar to Dune. And these sandworms never made it into the game until now. The sandworms are now here. So it took them a little while, but they got there in the end. So, I mean, No Man's Sky is very much the turnaround story. And I'm actually really pleased to see that it's really progressing well and constantly adding new features and growing all the time. So, yeah, well done to Hello Games and No Man's Sky. Then we're going to move on to Elite Dangerous. So Elite Dangerous, as you know, we have the Odyssey expansion, which is coming in early 2021. It's going to give us walking on stations and planets, and there's going to be NPC characters to interact with. And it's funny that they mentioned the walking on stations, because that was one of the things that EVE promised for years, EVE Online, and never managed to do, and eventually just gave up on it. and Elite are apparently going there. So that is great news. But the other piece of news associated to this is that the Horizons DLC, which was a pay-for DLC, as of the 27th of October, will be included as part of the base game. Now, if you purchase it between the announcement, which was made a day or two ago, and the 27th of October, you buy that Horizons DLC, then they're going to give you an Azure skin for your ship to kind of make up for it. So I would suggest not buying the DLC, but if you really want the skin, then go ahead and do that. So, but anyway, Horizons DLC merging into the Elite Dangerous base game. So that's landing on planets already, but in your ship, and then being in a rover, which is kind of sort of halfway stage to what Odyssey is going to provide us early next year. Now I'm going to come on to new availability, and the new availability that I have to announce is Cloudpunk. Cloudpunk was originally released for PC on the 23rd of April of this year, 2020. And as of October 15th, it is coming to PS4, Xbox and Switch. Now, Cloudpunk is, when I see it, obviously it's kind of got this pixel art look and feel to it, but it's got this real atmospheric look to it, and which really reminds me of kind of Fifth Element. Now, I just want to be saying Lulu Multipass all the time, every time I see the game, because you are a delivery driver, so you just run around delivering parcels, and it is an adventure game. And this has kind of been one of those indie games that's kind of really flourished and really done well, and congratulations to them. I think it was Ion Lions as the developer. So it's good to see they've made it to consoles, and hopefully it will gain an even bigger audience there. Then announcements. So Planetfall, as you know, I do a lot of Planetfall content, and we are expecting another DLC, and a couple of days ago we got a cryptic tweet. We kind of got this kind of Stargate symbol, and that's about it. And it's literally just a 20-second snippet on Twitter. But what it generally means is that with Planetfall, about a week before they announce the date of the release, they produce one of these cryptic tweets. So I'd imagine by about the 6th or 7th of October, we'll be given a date, and then the release date is normally 2 or 3 weeks behind that. So we can expect the third DLC from for Age of Wonders Planetfall to come out by the end of this month, which is great. And obviously I will be covering that in videos as and when the announcements are made and we know more details about it. Then another game that I actually covered during Gamescom and actually streamed live was Riff Breaker. Now, Riff Breaker is another kind of small company developing this called Exor Studios. And I just wanted to bring up that Riff Breaker is constantly adding new features to the game. It's not released yet, but they're very, very good at keeping in touch with the community, letting them what they're doing. And so the first thing they've done is they've added water to this. So they've got water pipelines and treatment plants. So you don't actually need the water to survive, but the idea is that it's going to be used to cool down structures and perform roles in the industry side of things. And then they've also announced some new creatures. Now, these creatures are crystal munchers, so they eat crystals. And there's two. There's, first of all, the Squadrons, which is a passive creature. If you leave it alone, it should leave you alone as well, although apparently it can get irritated by the noise of your base. And then there's one that's a little bit more aggressive called the Pomegranate. I think that's the way to pronounce it, Pomegranate. And as you can see, it's kind of got a tail similar to some of the creatures in Planetfall that launch goo. This one launches combustible goo from its tail, sort of flips it up into the air and into your base, which makes it very, very difficult to protect with barriers, etc., etc. So there you go. So I just wanted to bring up that Riftbreaker is still being developed, and there's still loads of new stuff being added to it. And I'm very much looking forward to this going live and going on full release soon. I think it's going to be before the end of the year, but don't quote me on that. Then we're going to come on to other news. I just want to mention Peraspera. Peraspera was first mentioned last year at Gamescom, I believe E3 as well, and then it got mentioned again this year. And the thing I just really wanted to point it out because it just looks a really intriguing game. So it's based around the real topology of Mars. So it comes as a simulation of planet building, and it goes along the concept of Van Neumann probes, which are, you throw down objects onto a planet which is self-replicating, And the idea is that you use these little robots to create more infrastructure, so eventually you kind of colonize the planet. And one of the funny things about it is when you create a new structure and it has to create a road in between, it actually looks at the real topology and then is using a real-time algorithm produced by a research paper by a bunch of French researchers, and it takes that algorithm and uses it to plot in real time the best possible route across the planet. So this is where it kind of really starts falling into the simulation side rather than just a game. So very intriguing, and looking forward to that coming by the end of the year. Then some EVE Online news, because there's always EVE Online news. And I wanted to bring this up, that Mixed Dimensions do these 3D printed models of various ships. And they've just added 3 new ships, the Angel Cartel ships. So that's the frigate, the Dramiel, the cruiser, the Cinnabal, and the battleship, the Macariel. And these look absolutely brilliant. For me personally, I would love the Cinnabal. That was one of my favorite ships when I was playing EVE Online. And so they're not exactly cheap, but they are hand painted by the looks of it. I think they are hand painted from what I can see. Either way, they are painted and they look absolutely glorious. And I had a look on the website with Mixed Dimensions, and it looks like they ship to most countries in the world. So you'll be able to get hold of one of those. And then we're going to come on to CG Projekt Red. We had Night City Wire, episode 3 on the 18th of September. I would imagine you've probably seen it. Most people in this genre of sci-fi are totally hyped on Cyberpunk. So I'm not going to say much. Obviously, we saw some gameplay. In this gameplay, we got a tour of the various Night City districts. We also got a lowdown on the various gangs that we'll find in Night City. And then also we got the PC specs for the minimum specs and the preferred specs for specifications to play on a PC. Other piece of CD Projekt Red news, which is kind of putting them in a little bit in the limelight at the moment, is that they promised they wouldn't do any crunch for their developers. And they've now announced that they will be going on a 6-day week to try and meet their deadline of November 19th. So they've kind of gotten back on their word on this. But I don't know what the politics are. I don't know what the situation is. It was just they said one thing, did another. And that's not like CD Projekt Red, but they kind of clearly don't want to delay it again. They want to hit that holiday season. And we'll see the gossip that comes from that. Then other things I need to mention are trailer links for all the trailers that you've watched during this video. We actually have a separate channel now called Frosty's OP Trailers. If you look in the description, you'll find links to all of the trailers that have been featured in this video today, so you can watch them in full. And then another video that I just want to bring to your attention because I just found it incredible. It's called Fictional Starships from Metaball Studios. And it takes all of the fictional starships from various movies and games and does size comparisons. Now, these are all 3D renders set over New York City to get an idea of the scale of the ships. And it just keeps going on and on and on. There's 12 minutes of these ships, and there's so many. Obviously, there's not all of them. There will be some that are missing, not many, but I highly recommend that you check it out after this video because it is absolutely brilliant. And then finally, I've moved to Twitch, just in case you haven't been able to see my live streams or you wondered where they're gone. I've gone back to Twitch. I've decided it's better to keep them separate. Live streaming doesn't seem to work very well for me on YouTube. It upsets the algorithm apparently. So you'll find me at twitch.tv, Frosty's OP, or you can go to frostysop.com and find the links there. So there you go, that's about it for this update. I hope you found that interesting and useful. Please give me a like if you did. If you dislike too, that's absolutely fine, I can handle it. And then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications as I do release new content regularly, especially when it comes to sci-fi gaming. And we have got Planetfall stuff coming up this month as well. All right, that's all from me. Thank you for watching. Bye.